Guys, and welcome to the Geek Street, where the street speaks. My name is Sean, and I have my fellow geek buddies over here, Harvin, Jazz, and Eric. Say hi,
Sup?
guys.
Hello,
Hi
guys.
guys.
Hello, hello.
All right, so we are back with you with another content. We were so excited waiting for this because it's our very first movie breakdown. We have been breaking down a series before this, and now we are breaking down a movie. And my gosh, it's been so long since we have been to the theaters. Guys, how was your experience in the theaters?
Oh, so good. Especially watching Marvel movie for the first time after a very long time back in the movies. And Shang-Chi was just awesome, man. It was a very good experience.
The first movie back in theaters is a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
And
really good.
my best advice, if you guys don't want to miss the full experience, please watch it in theaters because with the huge screen, with the audio, it elevates your experience, especially for Shang-Chi, because of the music and the sound effects and everything. So yeah, don't forget to miss it.
With that,
And don't forget not to miss it.
okay, with that, I would recommend you guys to catch Shang-Chi in the theaters with Dolby Atmos. Okay, GSC if you want to pay me.
Oh, TV,
I like how you only target
because
Jason.
I watched it. Yeah, because I watched it in Jesse together with Eric, and I think it was really nice. The only thing is that we couldn't get that Dolby Atmos time slot because we were rushing to go and watch it because we needed to do this video. But I think I might want to go and watch it with Dolby. I think the sound was like what Jess said. The sound is really amazing in the movie because Jess loves the movie. Okay, all right. So so it's really nice. The movie is amazing. So please, if you have not watched the movie, this is a spoiler warning. Please watch it and then come back and watch this breakdown video that we are going to be breaking down for you. Okay. So without further ado, guys. So this is the Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings breakdown.
Da-na-na-na-na-na.
The movie actually opens up with a very very nice scene where they pan out from the Ten Rings organization flag, which is really nice because we have actually seen the Ten Rings tease in the MCU previously, where we have seen in Iron Man 3 with all these Mandarin shenanigans. And then also in the short film All Hail the Kings, we see it tattooed on the guy. Truth to be told,
Actually,
yeah.
Ten Rings was introduced way back from the beginning of the MCU, from the first Iron Man itself when he was kidnapped. He was kidnapped by the Ten Rings, and he also had the flag of the Ten Rings. So it has been a reference since the start.
But if you actually notice if you see from Iron Man the logo of the Ten Rings, right, you see it's actually a bit more different than Van Wu's Ten Rings. So I believe that he has made a lot of he was in the shadows a lot, right? So he did build this organization. I think it became more like a fraction of Ten Rings. So it's still a Ten Rings, but it's just a fraction all over. That means he has Ten Rings in the back in the Arabic side, and then maybe in Asia side or whatever. So he has fractions of Ten Rings around the world. So that's what I believe, because you see the logo is a bit different.
Yeah, like must be
especially
some regional business thing lah, like how we have it now in our era, where you have like your Asian region and Arab region and stuff like that.
It's regional. I mean, at first I also thought it was regional, but then like later on, like I trying to explain, when Wu says that a lot of people, how do you say, copied him. They're not real, but they just use his name and his organization to do crimes. So we would say that this is not the original Ten Rings, but they're just copycats.
Yeah, could be too lah. Yeah.
You know?
Now that you mention it, yeah.
Speaking of Wen Wu, actually portrayed by Tony Leung, who is a very famous Asian actor. He's Actually one of my favorite actors. If you talk about the Asian cinema scene. Okay, so speaking about Wen Wu, he is of course the has the possession of these mystical ten rings. To me, it looks like a bracelet. I don't know why, but I cannot see it as a ring. Maybe it's a ring because of the shape. They call it the 10 rings, but as we know in the comics, it's very much different because they actually put it on the fingers, and each ring has its own sort of like a power to it, right? But in this, we see that the 10 rings combined give the person who possesses the 10 rings some sort of like a immortality, right? So I think that was really nice in terms of how they actually not they don't use outright from the comic itself, where they actually sort of like this changes a little bit, maybe to probably just save time in explaining or what this like for example like the Infinity Stones, right? Like each stone has its own, so it took time for people to actually understand who are not like probably not familiar with the Infinity Stone through the comics to understand what each stone possesses, the powers and all. But in terms of the 10 rings, I think they sort of like simplified it, right? So that's my take on that. Also, Wen Wu's character is actually very different from the comic because in that comics, actually, Fu Manchu, who is the father of Shang-Chi in the comics. I think Harvin would know better in terms of the origins of Shang-Chi's father.
Yeah, so as Sean previously stated before, the Ten Rings is in the comics very much different. So in the comics, the Ten Rings originated from McLuhan's spaceship which landed in somewhere in China. So that is how Fu Manchu found the Ten Rings, and then he possessed the Ten Rings. So basically, we later on in the movie we'll see a version of boom. So so it's a bit more different. Like how Sean said, it's actually very true. Marvel tends to make everything very simplified. They don't want to. It can be comic booky, but then they just want to go with the flow of the MCU, which they've already established. So they just want to go with the flow of how the MCU is processed. That's why they tend to simplify. So it's a bit more different. So it's much more like the Ten Rings is very much more like how Sean said. It's a more like a power up within itself. It's all everything just 10 rings combined. It's one power. So as you can see, he did not age. Wenwu did not age.
I think one thing upsetting is not being able to see how the 10 rings got into Wenwu's hand. Because all we know was he either stole it or found it from a dead man's tomb, something like that. So it would be nice to know the origin of the rings, like how he got the rings, the origin of the ring, who gave the ring, what's the ring about. I mean, if you've seen the comic, yes lah, but you know how Marvel doesn't follow comic. So you want to know this story, and especially it's going to tie into the post-credit scene later. So that's the upsetting part lah. Because at the end of the day, the movie's name is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
I think I will have.
But there was no
Legend of the Ten Rings. It was supposed to be Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings. Then it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the backstory is a bit hangy. Like you just need to try to understand it yourself. So I felt like that was the only problem going forward. Like you put Legend of Ten Rings, but it just moves straight forward there's no establishment from where we come. You just have to presume he got it from somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, for me, I thought it's going to be like a really back origin story of the Ten Rings, and then going into present day with Shang-Chi and things like that. But we didn't get that. Maybe it's for some other movie, some other day. We don't know. Okay.
Yeah,
but moving on.
This is one thing that I want to say, because like if you guys realize how movies work is movie always focuses on the main character. Then when it comes to the second movie, they give a little bit of a backstory to introduce a new villain. Best example, Thor Ragnarok, where we only knew the story of Hela and King Odin before Thor was born. So we had the backstory, but not now. Maybe later.
Hopefully, I can wait till later.
Okay. Okay, moving on. Okay, took too much time on that. Okay, so all right. So as we move through the opening of the movie, we see Wenwu using the Ten Rings to take over civilizations and to expand his Ten Rings empire, things like that, right? Which shows that yes, the rings has some sort of gives the person who possesses Ten Rings some sort of immortality, because we know later on that he actually lives for about more than 1,000 years because he calls Guangbo a young man. Okay, so yeah, that was really funny. All right, then okay, so and then after we see what it's like it's like snippets of what Wenwu did, right? The legend, okay, and then we come towards where Wenwu travels through a bamboo forest, finding for this mystical place called Talo, which is like an ancient city civilization of people, where they have certain mystical arts and things like that would enhance Wenwu's persona, right? Because now at that current moment, he only relied on the power of the Ten Rings. As we see when he meets Yingli, who is his would-be wife, where she uses like sort of like air bending techniques and things like that.
The chi.
Yeah, to sort of like outwit him without actually having the power. That means that particular form of what they call art actually is more powerful than actually possessing Ten Rings. But imagine the person who possesses Ten Rings and has that particular knowledge in terms of that fight, that art fight, right? Actually gives the person makes that person really like powerful, right? So I think that was what Wenwu wanted, but at the end of the day, he fell in love. Because he had that romantic battle with called Wu Zia. Please don't roast me for pronouncing the name. I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm trying my best. All right. Okay, like this particular art we see in lot of
is that like
contemporary
dancing, but for Chinese style?
I'm not exactly sure. No, because this particular sort of like a fight, romantic battle is actually we see in a lot of ancient Chinese. The movie is not ancient, but when they portray ancient fighting scenes in a romantic setting, they actually have that, like as we see in the Crouching Tiger, where they go through it's all based outside because of the way that the what they call like Yingli, where she uses the environment sort of like as her weapon, right? In terms to either to deflect or to sort of like attack and things like that. So this is really nice. I like how they tap into really make it authentic as possible, right? In terms
with
of
the flying.
Yeah, that was really nice. Okay, so after all that fight that went on, Wenwu eventually falls in love because he lost to her, but he fell in love with her, and then they started a family together. Okay, I think because this speaks into character of Wenwu, where I think he's a nice guy, but I think he's just possessed by the power of Ten Rings. Okay, we will talk about this as we go along. Okay, and then we see Yingli telling stories to a young Shang-Chi. It was all in Mandarin, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I don't know Chinese. So yeah, he was talking to her. It was really nice how they didn't use just English, in that particular time, because we know that she is not from the modern day, right? She is definitely, these people are way back, right? They are probably like like how Thor is like how many thousands of years old. They probably are the same way. So they use the language while they are speaking is really authentic in the way that Marvel kept that particular relationship between Wenwu, Shang-Chi, and the entire family. Okay, so that was all.
Just to let you guys know, like it is so authentic that you rarely see in movies that portrays a different culture. Like for example, even Black Panther, even though it's an African-based movie, they didn't really speak much African. There was a hint of it, but not much. But I think Marvel did a really good job with this. It was so good until the fact that that first 5 minutes when they were only speaking Mandarin, I was like, did they put the correct audio? I felt like that, but in the end, I loved it. I loved it. It was very authentic.
Yeah. Okay, so
I think Sean, before you move on, there was something I want to say. I don't know whether you're going to go towards it or not, but if you realize, because as they're showing the snippets when Wenwu was taking over the world, the organization and everything, all right, you actually see one particular scene where he's in front of the monitor, in front of a lot of monitors, he's watching things, right? You actually can see a scene from the Iron Man when Tony Stark was captured. That scene, you remember when he's Iron Man first movie, there's a video of him, they open up his the face cover and then you see, so that particular scene, the background of it did pop out. So we can safely say that Tony became Iron Man because of Wenwu, because it's under his organization, so the circle is like complete, so we finally get to see what was purpose for Iron Man to become the Iron Man. So that's a cool Easter egg right there.
Yeah, I wanted to say that, but I wanted to reference it later on when he speaks about it. Okay, but never mind. Thank you very much for talking about it. Okay, so be safe to move on. Okay, so we are moving on to. So then we pan back into the present day. What they call where we see Shang-Chi, who's played by Simu Liu. He is actually a very, very good actor. I really like him. Because I follow Kim's Convenience, and I think that he is because we only see him in that particular series as a comedy character, but to see him in this thing shows how versatile he is as an actor, and I think he's got a very, very good future in terms of breaking through not just Marvel movies, but I think many, many movies. And I like because he calls himself Sean. In the movie, I always watched.
You very biased,
oh my God.
No.
Like, I'm just waiting once we reach Michelle Yeoh whether he's going to say anything. Right?
No. Okay, but
No.
we have to say something about him. We have to say something about her. But he calls himself Sean. I was taken aback. I was like, oh, really? Hello. So I was really excited about that. Okay. So anyways, you see him waking up in his studio apartment. Probably he was dreaming and thinking back to the time when his mother was alive and things like that. Okay. And then we see him through his daily life where he works as a valet with his best friend Katie, who was actually played by Aquafina. And they seem to be enjoying their life. I really like this part where they didn't really go deep into his personal life, his like modern day life, but they showed a little bit in terms of the Shang-Chi character without the 10 rings, without all these things as like a modern person, which is very nice, where they seem to be enjoying their life and they don't want to be told what to do, like how when we see Katie's mother actually telling her just because she studied, she's got a degree, stuff like that, she's got to be somebody and all, but then she said that she wants to YOLO, so it's really, really nice in terms of how they show that. Because I think like Shang-Chi is supposed to be sort of like a mid-20s sort of a character where, they're just going through their early phase of their adulthood, after graduation or whatever, so they are just living their life, and not, bugged down by corporate jobs or whatever, which is really, really nice to see, because I think then in return, he doesn't have to take annual leave to go to China or wherever he has to go, right? Okay, and then we roughly know that this particular present day is actually set around the time of Far From Home, which is the summer after Avengers Endgame. So they would have went through the whole bleep thing and all that. But I don't think so that Katie and Shang-Chi actually were blipped, because they went through, they actually grew older, right? Because from the time that we see the flashbacks and now, probably he didn't really, didn't like stop aging or something like that. There was nothing like that. So I think that was really nice, because like 2018 to 5 years later and things like that. So it was like a nice way to say that, okay, this is part of the MCU. It has a continuity, and this is what happened. This is a subtle way of doing it. They didn't really talk anything about the bleep. They didn't reference that in the movie. It was really nice, right? In terms of,
but there was an Easter egg lah. Like when they walk into the building, there's a poster stating post blip anxiety.
Yeah. No, they said they subtly referenced it, but didn't really mention about it because I think it was good that we have to stop talking about Endgame. We have to move on, right? So it was really nice the way they did
It's
it.
more
Okay?
so of like
Yeah.
just giving us a timeline lah. This is okay. This happened after that. That's it.
Yeah.
No, actually now talking about timelines, right? So there's a few timelines. No, if you guys realize that when later on when he was sent to when he went to San Francisco like about age of 14, that was the time, right? So that was the time. If you guys really think about it, it's like 2010, most probably worst come to worst, and it's around the same time where Iron Man 2 took place. Okay, and he's coming and he's in San Francisco, and who else was in San Francisco was Ant-Man. Ant-Man derived from San Francisco. Okay, and there's another timeline. If you guys realize, when Wenwu was in 1996, right? That's when there was a particular timeline they put the date there. Right? So this, if you guys think about it, he has his own organization, all right? And if you look at it, Hydra was also active at that point, and also Shield also was active an organization at that point. And if you guys see in the first Ant-Man movie, and when the particular Hydra characters, when they want to hijack the Yellow Jacket, this one when he wants to sell the Yellow Jacket, right? So the Hydra was the one who wanted to buy. But you see later, there is a fight scene where other people infiltrated and killed the Hydra people, and they wanted to take the Yellow Jacket for themselves. But it's a very how would you say? If you don't see it, you would miss it kind of thing. He has a 10 rings logo on his wrist actually. If you guys see it on his wrist, there's a 10 rings logo. So you can see that even Wenwu infiltrated Hydra. So you can actually see how powerful Wenwu was as his organization inside the MCU.
I think he was very good in branching out. He had very good PR skills. I think being 1,000 years old, he would have learned many skills over the years, And I think I know. See, one thing for me is I think the tennis organization actually is bigger than what it actually seems in this movie as well, right? So I think when we go more into maybe when there's another Shang-Chi movie, hopefully, or somewhere during the MCU, I think we will see more of the Ten Rings organization and things like that, because I think it's really huge. I think Wenwu, because he lived so many years, he would have placed people in different parts of the world, in maybe even in governments, things like that. So I think it's bigger that because this movie only focuses on Shang-Chi, Wenwu, and the family, right? That they never really tap into the organization itself. They never really show the vastness of the organization. So I think there's a lot more to it, which I think that coming videos we can even talk about it. Okay, so a lot of content there. Okay, so moving forward, we after the whole life of Katie and Shang-Chi, where we see their whole life story, whatever, and then we get to see the first of many action scenes in this movie, which I really love. So we see what they call Shang-Chi and Katie in a bus where they get ambushed by Wenwu's Ten Rings army. Where and I just want to note that the Shang-Chi, when he fights, it's very reminiscent of Jackie Chan. Because he uses things around him to sort of be like a weapon, or because I think it's very realistic. This fight is very realistic. It's not out of this world fight like how Wenwu does it because he has mystical powers from the rings. Shang-Chi relies on himself and his body. So I think it was very realistic. I love the way they choreographed the entire fight scene in the bus. Because they wanted to come after their green stone sort of like a pendant or whatever. Okay, it was really.
Can we take
nice,
a second to appreciate the music as well? The music was damn good.
Yes. I think
music hyped the fight scene to oblivion. I think without the music or any other music, I don't think we would have felt the same.
No, I think the music complemented the fight scene because the fight scene is as good.
Yeah. But without the music, I think it would just be like or change any other music, it would just be like there's no.
And to be honest, I have to give credit to Chinese fighting style choreography because, like Sean said, since we were young, we always enjoyed Jackie Chan's fighting style because, using leverage and so realistic. And I don't think we've seen something like this in any of the Marvel movies because we are so used to the ordinary fighting style using weapons. Of course, Black Widow fights and everything. But this one thing in the one small confined space, and then there's one shot where they show like from they just
That was damn
pan
cool.
and him fighting. Yeah, seriously, the choreography was just.
They actually did it in the
point.
bus also, but obviously it wasn't moving lah.
Yeah.
But the fact that you squeeze everything in the bus and you're still trying to make it work is amazing. Again, the choreography deserves all praise lah, especially the fight scenes.
I think it was really really nice. The fight scene because we see like the way he fights is like he's using things around him as an extension of his body. So it's like even when we see later on when he fights in Macau, we see how he uses the planks and then he goes around the bamboo structure, whatever the structure, right? So it was really so it's really really nice in terms of how they make it so realistic because they know that he has no powers at the moment, right? So how is he going to fend for himself? And this was his training. Back in the days, we see the flashback to how his father made him train and things like that until he started punching that wood until there was a dent in it. I think I would cry if I were to do that, but it's nice, okay? And then we also see Razor Fist. The first look, Razor Fist in the MCU. It's not really as muscular as what he is in the comics, but it's nice because it's actually portrayed by Florian Montiano. He's actually a boxer, so it's really nice how they portrayed him. Didn't really give him too much screen time, because I think as one mentioned, the focus of the movie is beyond all this Marvel, sort of like a movie. Okay, and then we see eventually Shang-Chi actually loses that green stone pendant or necklace that was given by his mother to Razor Fist, because that was what they came after. They didn't want to actually kill him, but they just wanted to take that because I think Wenwu has his own plans. Okay, so because he loses that, he actually now goes to Macau to actually.
Sean, before you move on, I think you forgot one cool Easter egg inside the bus itself. The guy who was recording the thing the whole time.
Oh yeah,
Clef. Yes.
Yeah, my boy Clef. Yeah, he's the same guy from Spider-Man Homecoming. If you all, whoever's watching who doesn't notice, he's the same boy from Spider-Man Homecoming. He's like the vendor there. There's this one particular scene, he asked Spider-Man to do a flip and Spider-Man does the flip. So somehow or other from New York, he comes to San Francisco and chilling. So I think this is daily task right now, like taking videos.
Because when he was in Homecoming, then after he went on Stephen Colbert and then he petitioned to have street vendor as a sort of like a spin-off, So I think it's a Marvel say, okay, come back, laugh for another small scene, we'll give it to you.
Maybe he's the new Stanley.
Oh, but it'd be nice to have him in, some continuity in Marvel movies,
Yeah.
And then eventually he is also like one superhero, maybe we don't know. Right?
Vendor boy.
Vendor boy.
Maybe not.
maybe a Disney Plus spin-off series. You never know.
Yeah, probably he shoot projectile hot dogs.
That'd be very nice. Okay, so moving on, Macau. Okay, Macau, because we had this debate very much earlier on in our live in Geek Street, where we said what would Bob be doing in Macau? Okay, so in Macau he goes to Macau.
John, I think you need to make a public apology first.
Again.
I
This is a Shang-Chi related video.
Yeah, I am sorry because I denied it was wrong in the trailer. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, moving on.
Okay, wait.
So
before we start, I just want to say how surprised I am to see bamboo as scaffolding. Am I the
was
only
thinking the
one
same thing
who
when I
saw
said-
bamboo as scaffoldings
Yeah,
and was surprised?
They wanted to keep it so authentic that they needed to use the same type of, what do you call it? Not wood lah, but same
It's
type
bamboo.
of
It's
material
literally
from
bamboo.
China.
No, probably who maybe they have like a huge supply of bamboo that they use it as
No, but
scaffolding.
you see how high the building is. No, it's kind of like crazy. So like
Yeah.
it's I don't know. When I saw that, I couldn't think about anything else. I was just like bamboo scaffolding. Okay. This okay. It's weird. I want to go and see Macau and go Macau and see myself whether did they actually use it.
Okay, it's China. It's okay.
Okay.
Just leave it.
or it could have been a prop problem, and then they said, we only have bamboo.
No, I don't think it's a problem. I think like what Jess said, they maybe wanted to really touch the roots of China. You know.
Yeah, given that Macau.
I mean, for a fact, bamboo sticks are kind of strong, kind of.
Yeah.
So
And it'll be a whole cultural wake up like if they actually legit use bamboo on a daily basis as scaffolding.
Yeah.
yeah.
So something we can research
I'll
later,
do
lah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
You can
Okay,
continue,
okay,
Sean.
Sean.
Macau.
Before we reach to that main scene, but as Shang-Chi and Katie walking through the whole arena and everything, you actually see this one particular scene when the camera pans into one of the fight rings, like smaller fight rings. You can actually see the extremist soldier from the Iron Man 3. Yeah, so that was a cool thing right there. Yeah. So yeah, there's still extremist soldiers lah.
Yeah, we don't only have that. We also have this character who played one of the widows in Black Widow, also inside the cage fighting. So maybe she might have her own spin-off movie or whatever. Okay, so you are getting ahead of me. Harvin.
Harvin does
Yeah,
that.
Harvin does that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just afraid if he
He gets
doesn't
too
reference
excited.
it.
Yeah. Okay. So as we go into Macau, we see the backdrop of Macau. We know Macau is a very sort of like Las Vegas of Asia. Okay. So and then we see them going because the thing is Shang-Chi wanted to go and protect his sister because his sister too had that green necklace thing on her neck, which was given by their mother, their pendant, right? So he wanted to go and protect his sister. So that's the reason why he traveled all the way to Macau. I don't know how he bought his flight ticket, being a valet and all that. I don't want to ask too many questions. Okay.
People in American movies can just fly for.
Somehow or other, he took a flight.
No,
Okay. And then
he's never mentioned that he's poor and anything. Maybe he saved a lot of money because he's been having a lot of fun. He goes bars, go karaoke. So you can say that he likes the typical normal job, which just to be a valet driver. But he could be saving up for the whole, for the whole year.
I think we
No,
should
but
learn.
it's like so cliche. Like every movie you watch, they be like, "Oh, I'm gonna fly here."
Yeah.
Like I can't do that. I need to like plan for 1 month.
1 month. We need to plan like 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
Oh
how
my
their
God.
passports are always ready. So
Okay.
Exactly.
Alright, so then we go to what they call as they go into Macau. So they go into this fight club called the Golden Dagger. Golden Dagger is actually referenced in the comics as one of Fu Manchu's subsidiaries company. Okay, so that's a good Easter egg there. So as they go in, who else they meet but the manager of the fight club, Ronnie Chan. Okay, which is one of my favorite Asian comedians. Okay, I won't say Asian favorite comedians. I don't want to stereotype. Okay, he's one of my favorite comedians because I think his comedies are really, really nice. Okay, and he tells the joke with a straight face, and I don't know how to do it. Okay, so it's really nice to have him part of the movie as well. And then yes, that's a Malaysian. I forgot that.
Yeah, you have to appreciate that he's a Malaysian homeboy.
He spoke in Bahasa and he proudly said that he still has his Malaysian passport. He's from JB, Johor Bahru. So yeah, he's a proud Malaysian.
Nice. Okay, cool.
look at the reaction. It's nice
yeah.
and cool. I'm just gonna wait for Michelle Yeoh.
Okay, so he was there. He was the manager, and then Shang-Chi actually was there just to save his sister. Okay, and then we see these fights.
Wait, Sean, before that. Another reference you missed out. As a Malaysian, you have to be proud of this. When
The girl say nice, yeah.
Katie says, yeah, when Katie says nice,
Spiky face.
mask, the character, replies saying terima kasih.
So we we see as they're walking through the fight club, we see that like many fights going on, sort of like a prelim to the main fight which was happening right in the center, which was between Wong and Abomination. We finally have Abomination in the MCU, right? I know Jess is very happy about this. Yeah. Okay, we all are very happy about this. Okay, and then we see the fight going on, and then later.
Wait, can I speak a bit more about
Yeah, I wasn't done about Abomination yet. But if you want to,
okay, I say. So as you all know, Abomination was introduced in Hulk. Who was Emil Blonsky. I forgot what's the actor's name. He's a very good actor, but I forgot his name. So and you can see the transition, like how Marvel fixes their mistake, because I think when the Abomination character design was first introduced in the Hulk, a lot of people didn't like it. There was a lot of criticism about it, saying that he didn't portray as much as the comic. So and now they introduced the Abomination more comic accurate with the fins on the ears, with the scales and everything, and has a more nicer look compared to the first one. So I think they did justice to the character design, and probably that we can work with the theory. Maybe he evolved because he did had a rapid evolution in his body, so maybe he evolved with fins and everything. So yeah, the Abomination.
I think that how he evolved, I think they really made him comic book like, and because they also didn't mention how like how Bruce Banner's Hulk actually changed as well. They never mentioned all that. Even they did reference a little bit how he became Professor Hulk and all that. So the evolution of the thing, maybe it happens within themselves, that they are able to have that because of whatever gamma rays and all that, right? Okay, so so we see Abomination with Wong, and it looks like sort of like Wong is training Abomination for something, and also he like what just mentioned, he also calls him Emil, so we know there's a character continuation. It's not a whole new character and things like that. Okay, and also after the fight, we see there's like a Wong opens the portal, so we see like there is a holding facility maybe where they keep Abomination for whatever. But I think we'll see more. We will see probably more of this in She-Hulk. That's coming up on Disney Plus Hotstar somewhere early next year, where we will see more, because we know that he is supposed to be in the movie. Maybe we also see Wong and maybe why he is sort of like how do they say why he is training Abomination, or what's his relationship with Abomination and things like that, right? So I think that will be a very good way to explain what happened in the Shang-Chi movie, why it was like that. So with all the hype,
when you mentioned the holding facility, I think if you're not mistaken, that Abomination was locked up in the RAF, right? So maybe Wong sneaks Abomination from the RAF to come and train and have fun a bit and then go back.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what is Wong's relationship with Abomination. So I think that is something we will find out maybe in She-Hulk, because there's so many things on why. Maybe my thinking is that Doctor Strange is actually forming a new Avengers team, and he's getting Wong to go and see certain people. He goes see certain people, whatever. Maybe he's like the new Tony Stark, like gathering people together. So this is what I feel. Okay, so there's a lot of things we can talk about Abomination. Wong, we are so happy that we get to see them in this movie. It's really nice, and also I think, especially Wong, especially given Benedict Wong. He okay, that was not okay, right? Okay. Given that the actor who plays Wong, okay,
Benedict Wong.
Okay.
Benedict Wong plays Wong.
Yeah. Okay. So it's nice to see him in this movie because he was very excited as well to be part of Shang-Chi. So we'll see more of him later. Okay, so Shang-Chi becomes like an instant hit in this fight club, where he unknowingly signs up for a fight. They call him Bus Boy. Okay,
Bus
so it
boy.
was, yeah, right. So it was nice because like how he became famous because of this Bus Boy thing, and how Spider-Man also sort of like has that similar, not the same, similar sort of like fame. Okay, so he gets into a fight, and he fights none other than the person who actually owns the fight club, which is his sister, who is Zhu Jialing, who is played by let me get this right. I don't want to mess this up. Okay, Meng Zheng. Okay, all right. I hope I said it right. Please don't roast me for this, okay? So, yeah, okay. So, Zhu Jialing, okay? So she's
He got it right the first time.
Zhu
Then,
Jialing.
tongue
Yeah,
twisters.
no. I like to call. Let's make it
Yeah.
easy
Okay,
for
okay,
ourselves,
okay.
okay?
Jialing lah. Just call it
Not make it.
Jialing.
Yeah, it's Jialing, okay? I think that's fair enough because here in Malaysia also we call people by their second two names, okay? All right, so we, so we see her fighting Shang-Chi, and because Shang-Chi, I think the reason why he loses this fight is because he's not vested in the fight itself, because I think she has more vengeance because we know that later that he actually kind of left her, and things like that, and she had to fend for herself and run away and things like that. So she has more vengeance and want to really like beat him down, but he's more like that. No, I want to protect you, my sister, things like that. So that's why Shang-Chi loses. Okay, he did not lose the girl. He did not lose the fight to a girl. Okay, he was not vested in the fight. All right.
Even,
So then,
he doesn't want
even
to.
if he loses a fight to a girl, it's his sister.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think so. He wanted to hurt
Yeah.
his sister, lah. Okay.
No, he doesn't want to hurt.
Yeah, he didn't want to hurt her, lah. That's the whole thing. He wasn't vested in the fight, okay? All right. So then we know that she owns this fight club and all that. Then she tells how she ran away, and all that from their father. Okay, so Shang-Chi tries to actually warn her, saying that the father is coming, and all that. So, but she says that she can protect herself and all that. And then when we see that, which is after the fight, we see actually the Ten Rings army actually come in and try to take over the fight club and then fight for them. Okay, so then where we see another epic fight scene, which is really nice, as I mentioned earlier, bamboo scaffolding and then all the planks flying everywhere. It was really nice that actually she sort of like ran away by herself. But then she came back, okay? Because this really ties into like family, sort of like a movie, which is really nice that even though we have fights, imagine being left as a young person by your sibling, who is supposed to protect you, but then at the end of the day, you forgive them. So it's sort of like this family elements in the movie. It's really, really nice. So she comes back and then she tries to, protect him as well, and then they work together to fight off people and all that. Then we also see another comic book character, which is the Death Dealer, who is Wenwu's trusted assassin, right? So Shang-Chi actually outwits Death Dealer. Because I think that dealer really made his childhood miserable lah. Okay, with all that training and stuff like that, So he wanted to really like put a knife through his heart or something like that. But then we see then after Wenwu comes and then he breaks up the fight and then he sort of like takes them captive. I don't know. It's the father, whether they took them captive or whatever, brought them back home. Okay, where he brings them back to the Ten Rings compound. Okay, so this particular what they call so we see the Ten Rings compound, which doesn't really show that the power and the vast magnitude of how big the Ten Rings actually is. So I think this is like sort of family home. Okay, that's what I feel. All right, so he brings them and then he sort of like reminisce with them the old times and all that, and then also he speaks about that many people throughout they just try to copy him. Okay, and then he speaks about the Mandarin character, calling it a chicken dish, and all that. So I think that was really nice. Now, Harvey, I know you want to say something. Hold on until we get to that part, okay? All right, about the Mandarin. So we see all this happening, and then he actually tells them the real reason why he wants them to come, or he wants them together, because he said that he's been hearing voices of his late wife calling out to him, saying that she's being held captive in her home place,
World.
Talo home world, yep, okay, a home realm, whatever, right? So he's telling that, so he said, I need to go and save her, and he needs his children with him and things like that. And then the real reason why he wanted those two green stones, because it actually opens up sort of when he puts that thing into the
Wait. Before we go into that whole part, okay. So back to the part where Wen Wu was talking about how people impersonate the Ten Rings. He mentions that Aldrich Killian, who was originally thought the actual Mandarin, copied the Ten Rings. So we know that he just used the name and he used Trevor to act as the Mandarin. And then Wen Wu also says that he went by many names. Okay, people call him the Mandarin, and which was a chicken dish which he didn't like, and they also call him Master Khan. So Master Khan is actually based on the comic. He's the villain for Iron Fist and Luke Cage and even Doctor Strange. Is it yours, Arvind?
No. It's fine.
Okay.
It's all fighting for Easter eggs now. I'll just sit here and talk about scaffoldings on bamboos. Bamboos and scaffoldings.
It's okay.
No, Arvind can add on it later. I just want to say, if we were to say, because Wen Wu is 1,000 years old, so we don't know the vastness of his story, of his enemies. So if MCU wants to introduce Iron Fist and Luke Cage or anything, Wen Wu will somehow play a part. So maybe this might not be an end of him. Maybe he was an enemy to these characters if MCU decides to go this part way. And probably, there'll be a reference of him in Doctor Strange as well. Okay, Harvin, you can continue.
Yeah, well, thank you for everything, Jess. Well, I just want to add that actually it's a very nice Easter egg, and also I like how Marvel just planted a seed right there. Like even though later on in the movie, despite what happens and everything, they already planted a seed where if they want to introduce Iron Fist later on, or they want to introduce Luke Cage or everything later on, they already have this Master Khan Easter egg right there. The seed is already been planted, so they can do a lot of things with this Easter egg right there. So it's very cool. Anyways, thank you again, Jeff.
Moving on, so we as what I mentioned earlier, that Wen Wu's real reason why he wanted them back and all that, because he wanted to save his wife. So he actually takes the two green stone pendants and puts it onto a carved dragon sculpture, and then it reveals the map to this mystical realm called Talo, right? Where apparently she's held captive. Okay.
Fun fact: Talo itik is a nice dish in the Philippines.
I don't think so. This is what it means.
Thanks, Jess.
Okay. Yeah. Alright. Good promotion. I think the Philippines will call you after this.
The tourist rate will probably increase by 20% now.
Yeah. Okay, so then then he shows the map and all that, how to enter the place. So he's planning to go there and invade and try to save his late wife. Shang-Chi actually tries to talk him out of it, saying it's ridiculous, it can't be, she's dead, because actually Shang-Chi was there when he saw his mother die, so it was really sort of like I think he was just going through a lot of, I wouldn't say midlife crisis. He's 1,000 years old, 1,000 years crisis or whatever. I think he has too many things to think about, so he's going through a lot, but also because of the power of the Ten Rings actually sort of poisoned his mind to a certain extent. As what you mentioned, we don't know the full extent of the Ten Rings power. So we don't know, because he actually used it not in a good way, right? The rings. He used it in sort of like a way to be more powerful. Like he wants power, so that power and greed actually took over his whole personality per se. Because as he took out the 10 rings, when he was with his wife, he actually was probably a very nice father, but with the 10 rings, he actually becomes this evil. Not so evil, but this bad man. Okay, so as Shang-Chi tries to not participate in this mission, Wenwu was like, okay, never mind, you don't want to participate, whatever. He sort of imprisons them. Okay, so this is where the Mandarin himself, Travis Tetry, who came out, present there. It's nice to see him, who's played by Ben Kingsley, same as Iron Man 3. I think it was a very, because leading up to that particular is a serious, like a lot of flashbacks and all that. But when it came to here, I was like, oh, all right, we got comedy again. It was really nice how they fitted him into this thing, because I'm not sure why. I think Des will know why Wenwu captured Trevor.
He was like the jester for Wenwu. So how jester during the medieval times, the kings have a clown to perform for them. So because Trevor impersonated Mandarin, so they kidnapped him, and then he did a Macbeth play in the moment that they wanted to kill him. And so he said that Wenwu and the soldiers loved his acting. So now they imprisoned him, and he has to act out plays. Same like how during those times actually it happened. Prisoners of wars have to act out plays to their captors to please them. So it's something like that.
So
I think this needs a little backstory for Trevor being there also. Actually, I think just now Sean also has mentioned about the All Hail the King one shot. If anyone doesn't know what is All Hail the King, it's actually a short film where Marvel did back in phase 1. They had a few one shots. Like, it's just a connecting stories to all the Marvel phase, because some of it people couldn't understand and what is going on, right? So they had a few short films, and one of the last one they did was All Hail the King. I think they simply did this because a lot of fans was already disappointed with the Mandarin character they did in the Iron Man. That I know for a fact Jess is very much disappointed. so since there was a debate, so what they did was they did this Marvel one shot All Hail the King. In that particular short film, Trevor was already in prison for what he did, and then in that particular scene you also see Justin Hammer from Iron Man 2. He was also captured for what he did, and then someone came to interview Trevor inside the prison for something, I'm not sure for what, to interrogate some sort. And what happened was one of the Wenwu's henchmen wanted to told him that the real Mandarin wants to see you because you took his name, to affect identity or something like that. So they said he's very pissed for you taking his name. So that is why the reason from there he moved to Wenwu's base. Then from there all these things happened. He did the Macbeth play and everything. So that's why he was there. So that was the small backstory that Marvel actually did.
Oh, I missed that out, man. Thank you for bringing it.
That's why we have Harbin.
I need to watch this already.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So what you call so then we see Trevor actually befriends a mystical animal called Maurice, who Katie calls a chicken pig. that was really nice. And so Maurice is actually from Talo, which is Shang-Chi's mother's home world. And then Maurice actually offers Shang-Chi and Xialing, Katie to actually go there, right? Probably to warn, to take him back, one, and also probably then they thought, okay, we go and warn the people that, hey, my father is up to no good, right? What they call, so Maurice is actually becomes their ways throughout the this one. So as they escape what they call the Ten Rings facility, we actually see a car with a Razorfish name on it. That's the only reason why we know the Razorfish that's his name, because other than that, there's no mention of his name anywhere in the movie. So we see the car. So they actually get into a car, and then they have a small short scene with all the shooting and car chasing, whatever, but very short. And then they go into this bamboo forest, okay, where Morris guides them through the bamboo forest, which earlier in the movie, which Venu tried to do, but he failed because he didn't know that that there is a certain like that to stay in the pocket, right? To get through that bamboo forest. So this is like maybe I think this is Talo's like first line of defense, which is the forest. Okay. So then, as they manage to enter Talo, they see many mythical creatures of Chinese origin. So the first one we see, which is the Hu Li Jing, which is the nine-tailed fox-like creature. The white color one looks like, I thought it was a peacock, but it's not a peacock.
Reminded me of Pokemon.
From Naruto.
Pokemon.
Yeah. Right? And then
Naruto Pokemon also
Pokemon,
has a
yeah.
nine-tailed fox also, right?
Pokemon lah.
yeah. I think it's a sort of like a similar or same, like, the way they depict the character, because it's ancient Chinese mythical creatures, right? And then we also see the Fu Dog, which is we know the Fu Dog because it's even in Malaysia we see it in like Chinese temples outside, and then some people actually put it outside their house. It's sort of like a guardian to the place where you're staying, right? So because they will protect you, sort of a thing. Okay, and then we see also the vermilion bird, which is like a firebird. And then also we see this really nice horse with a dragon face called the Longma. Actually, if in Chinese belief is that if you spot one of these Longma, it's actually a good omen. Okay, which I think sort of like helps Shang-Chi and Jialing that they're going there, they're going to be facing danger and things like that. So actually seeing that actually sort of brings like good omen lah. Okay, all right. So we see that. Thank God I got through all these names without any hiccups. Okay.
This can be Mandarin translator.
Correct. Yes.
Shang-Chi.
Okay.
Shang-Chi.
I don't mind changing my name to that.
Change your Instagram handle, Shang-Chi.
Okay, I think I'll probably be sued by Marvel. All right. Okay. So moving on. So as they drive to the village of Talo, they meet the people of Talo. We see Guangbo. Guangbo is actually who is played by Yuan Ma, who is also So Yuan Ma is actually sort of like I'm not sure this is into martial arts, but it was actually in one of Bruce Lee's movie, okay, which is very nice, okay. So he actually, is in this movie as well. So it's nice that, that they have this sort of Easter eggs, okay. And then we see Jung Nan, English sister, which is played by Michelle Yeoh, which is, I think, she looks very beautiful to this day. Okay.
That's all you have to say for her. I just saw you back nicely.
Wait. Who is also a Malaysian? Okay. Very proud of her and her achievements. She's actually a Bond girl. All right. In case people didn't know. All right. So she's there.
She was also the Guardians of the Galaxy. If you don't remember that.
Sorry.
She was also in Guardians of the Galaxy. She was one of the first Guardians of the Galaxy. Don't forget to mention that.
The Ravagers. She was one of the Ravagers.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Okay, so we see that Shang-Chi and Jialing welcome like family, and also that Shang-Chi actually warns them that the father is coming, and then they prepare for this battle that they are about to face. So as they are preparing for this battle, Shang-Chi and Jialing actually gets they
Get upgrades.
What do you call it? Yeah, they get upgrades in terms of their costume and things like that, and also they train for that battle that is coming up, where we see Jialing actually training with her. I don't know what weapon is that sling thing that she does.
Scorpion, get over here!
That's it. Yeah.
Wait. Before we go to that, I think that there was a very pivotal explanation on where these creatures came from. When Michelle Yeoh brings them, somehow every movie you see they have one wall that can explain each step of the story. So this movie also had that. So Michelle Yeoh explains that everything is interdimensional. Even Taulo is a different dimension, and even these creatures that come also, they're from a different dimension. So we know that Marvel is emphasizing on this establishment that okay, now we have Earth, we have the multiverse, we've introduced it to you, and now we are introducing you dimensions, alternate dimensions. So that is when we can have the reference from What If, because What If was one of the first to introduce other dimensional beings, like the other ones, the tentacle creatures. So these creatures that come from the dimensions, so these are also part of those things. They're all interconnected. They're not randomly introduced.
Actually, they've already introduced it in Doctor Strange, the first movie. Dormammu comes from the dark dimension anyways.
Yeah.
So it's actually, so now they've already making a sense where you have, like how Jess said, you have your Earth, you have multiverse, you have different timelines, you also have dimensions within all this also. So I'm like, yeah, okay.
And also another thing that I just want to say, I don't know whether Sean is going to cover this or what, but when Shang-Chi explains about how his father became evil was because the mother died, right? Because these gangs came and killed the father. He let go of the rings and they killed the mother, and then the father took back the rings and swore to kill the enemies. And that one scene I think was so brutal. I think that is the worst thing a child can go through, to see your father murdering people right in front of you. I think this is a very huge taboo that wasn't really shown in movies, but I think Marvel took the I would say they had the balls to actually do this kind of scene, like a child watching a father murdering people in front of him. So yeah, I think this scene deserves a shout out.
I think that scene is quite pivotal also, because it's feeding Shang-Chi the sense of revenge. Like that was when he decided, okay, I'm going to train. That's when because he eventually went to his father, not the father asked him to train. He eventually went to his father. We will realize later on also that he actually realized that he couldn't defend his mother and he cannot defend himself. This is why he needed training. So that scene was the one to show him what he can do if he goes on training, and that's how he's supposed to defend himself. So it's very pivotal because that's the only way that we understand Shang-Chi's feelings on why he decided to do what he decided back then and how it affects him now. Yeah.
I'm not sure whether he went to his father.
The father was just sitting at the table, and then he went as a small boy and asked,
"Let me train with you, Papa."
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So I think his willingness to train like that actually pays off, right? As we can see now. All right. So and then we see as Xialing was practicing her martial arts. Okay. Then we also see that what they call Shang-Chi learns like the Talo way of fighting, which is like that airbending thing that the chi that Jungnan actually teaches him. Of course, he doesn't master it like straight away and all that, because it requires practice. Practice makes perfect. Okay, he didn't have much.
I don't know, man. I felt like he just practiced for like 2 days and he got a hang of it.
No, but I think this is inbuilt in them.
I think it's their genes as
right?
well. Their mother also like some goddess, and then the father is like some immortal 1,000-year-old.
Yeah, I think
so. It's in their genes.
Yeah, I think for what Eric brought up, it's very true though, because they make it sound like whoever is there in Taolao, except for Shang-Chi's mother, it's still ordinary people, like they don't have any power up kind of thing. But Shang-Chi's mother has a power up, and they make it sound like she is the descendant of the Great Protector. Like she has some power.
She has
from
Fing Fang Foom's heart. That's what they all keep saying.
Yeah. She also said the same thing to Shang-Chi. You have a heart of a dragon and all that. So I think in somehow the mom is really much connected to the Great Protector, but still other than that, everyone else is still an ordinary people, but they have their weapons from the Great Protector. Like I think all made from
dragon skin
that he shed or what,
skin
I'm not sure, but yeah, it looks like that.
Oh yeah.
When Harin says Taolao, nobody says anything.
Yeah, I wanted to lah. He said Taolao like Sao Paulo there.
It's Talo. Talo.
Talo.
Okay. All right. So then with no time, I think they had just a couple of days. They were there, and then Wenwu eventually shows up, and then this is a part where it's mentioned earlier that what they call Wenwu calls Guangbo young man. Okay. So then they try to sort of talk it out. Doesn't work, and a fight ensues. Okay. But I like how they actually position the fight. It's like Zhu Jialing, actually sort of like leads the main fight, which is with the rest of the people, and then we see Shang-Chi taking on his father. It's really how to say the way that the scenes were shot in that particular fight scene was great. Okay, I won't say nice again. It was great. Okay. And then we see that Shang-Chi actually uses that his own way of actually fighting first, which is the way that he knows and the way that he grew up fighting, and eventually loses out to his father. Okay, and he gets blasted into the leg.
And he survived.
I just feel so pity for him, like the father is a boom. And then he goes into the leg. I feel like the father really manhandled him. I felt very sad for Shang-Chi at that point. Okay, so then typical fight scene. Then we see that the food dog throwing people onto the roof and things like that was the way that they choreographed the entire fight scene. It actually, like, if you see Chinese movies, the way that they have this ancient sort of like emperors, and the way they fight the army fight is really nice, incorporated with certain powers that they have, so it's just not like physical fight, but also certain powers that they have. It's also incorporated there, because we forgot to mention one thing, because the people of Talo, their particular weapons is made of dragon skin.
Now.
Okay. I didn't.
All of us mentioned it.
Really? Okay. Yeah. So we talk about the dragon skin. Okay. So that's why it gives them sort of like a armor, and I think even the armors and all that were made out of dragon skin.
I don't know whether you mentioned that. If you said you mentioned that, I don't know whether did you mention that Talo was about 4,000 years old?
No, I did not mention that.
Talo is about 4,000 years old. And the gateway. Okay, let's just call it gateway to hell. It's covered by dragon skins, so dragon skills.
Yeah,
skills.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So
imagine how much a skill the dragon had to shed.
I don't think they shared skills. They shared skills. No, I don't think they shared skills.
I think it is just like, I don't know how they recreate it. Like they take a sample and then they recreate it. I don't know how they do it now.
I will ask Fing Fang when I go there.
We are not experts. We are not experts in biology, so we shall not dwell.
We are no dragon experts.
Okay. All right. So as Wenwu finishes off Shang-Chi, he goes to this opening of the cave where he believes that he can hear the voice of his wife calling out to help him. So he thinks that she's there, like imprisoned, like locked up in that cave. Okay. But then we know that it's actually like what they call, just mentioned earlier, that what they call the story that they were telling, how the people of Talo, they are protected by the great protector, which is Fing Fang Foom. Okay. And how that the evil sort of like this creature, which is called the Dweller in Darkness. Actually, we don't know the name of this particular thing. I'm not sure that Harvey knows, but they call it the Dweller of Darkness.
Backstory for Dweller of Darkness. I have it for you.
Okay.
Okay, so that Dweller of Darkness is a comic book character, and it's one of the fear lords of comic. So there's a lot of fear lords in the comic, like Cthulhu, a few Shumagorath and everything. So
Arvin got the name
right. Yeah, so they are one of the cosmic beings from also another dimension. So that is why they are coming here to take over the Talo dimension and also the MCU dimension. Talo. Sorry guys.
You hungry or what?
And also they come from a dimension called Everine. So there's a dimension called Everine. So they come from that. and in the comic, they feed off people's fear. That is their power. But then inside this MCU, they feed off people's soul, like literally. So that is the backstory of Dweller of Darkness.
Arvin, you want to know something? You're the true geek of Geek Street, man.
No. You know,
The
he's
geekiest of the geeks.
Geekiest of the
No,
geeks.
he's the geek. We are the street.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Wait. I just want to ask you guys, how sure are we that the Great Protector is Fin Fang Foom?
I didn't say anything.
Exactly. My
That's why I
point.
kept.
Yeah.
I kept saying his name, Fin Fang Foom. You all only keep saying Great Protector, Great Protector, Great Protector.
Yeah.
No, that's the
Because I
Great
cannot- I
Protector.
cannot-
But
I
how
cannot
sure are
believe-
you that the Great Protector is Fin Fang Foom?
He's a dragon
Yeah.
with scales. The red scale is red color.
No.
I keep saying that the armor came from
Yeah.
Fin Fang Foom. Yeah, I never say Great Protector.
No, the
No.
Great Protector, that dragon, is white and red. That's the dragon that protect them and gave them the
Okay.
scales.
So is that Fin Fang Foom?
Okay?
That's your question.
No.
And I'll be a bit disappointed if that is Fin Fang Foom.
No, I don't
Because-
believe that that's Fin Fang Foom. I believe that that is one of Fin Fang Foom's brethren.
Why not Fin Fang Foom?
Because according to the comics, Fin Fang Foom is an aggressor, Okay, because his job was to protect the Ten Rings. This one later on will jump. I think later. So he's the protector of the Ten Rings. We're in a cave, and they said that when Wu found the rings, he either stole it or found it in a cave, and Fin Fang Foom protects the rings, and his brethren, because Fin Fang Foom's alien race, they are shapeshifters. So he took on the shape of a dragon, but his brethren took on the shape of humans to mingle with the humans, the villagers. So what I'm believing is that is not Fin Fang Foom. That is one of the brethren that took on the form of a dragon and is protecting them. Because like Harbin said, I'll be very disappointed if that is Fin Fang Foom. If Fin Fang Foom is protecting them like that, Marvel, please don't tell me that that's Fin Fang.
Your first 4 words you said, that's why I unconvinced today. You know what's the first 4 words you said? According to the comics.
Yeah, I know. I wouldn't say that,
No,
they will follow exactly. But like I said, like even if they want to say that it's a possibility they can introduce him as Fin Fang Foom, but I don't want that. I don't think anyone wants that.
Because Fin Fang Foom is really a big character inside the Shang-Chi comics. He's a very big character. So like now they give the Great Protector, like he just protects the things or whatever. They make it sound like he's going into a big deep sleep, and then whenever he wants to come out, he feels like coming out. So he make it sound like that. So I don't know, but of course, yes, Marvel tends to simplify the story. They don't want to break that flow of the MCU, so they will go as simple as possible. I get that, and I can accept the end of the day. I know Marvel is doing a good job of it because they have a lot of more audience to cater on to, but that's still Fin Fang Foom.
Moving on, so we see Wenwu punching that opening of the cave thing. Okay, and then with every punch, he releases this bunch of soul-sucking creatures. They come. I just feel so weirded out by these creatures. I don't know why. Okay, they just come fly over, and then when this battle is going on, like on the other side of the lake, with the people of Talo and the Ten Rings army, they were fighting. So these soul-sucking creatures came and started sucking out souls of people. Then we see the end of that dealer. Long live that dealer.
Yeah, exactly. I felt like that dealer just died out like that. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So looks like he would not have, but maybe they might reincarnate a different version of that dealer in the next movies or whatever, right? Okay, so because I think that is just a persona, so I think another person can take up that particular persona as well, right? So then we see this what they call Wenwu's army, the Ten Rings army. Actually work together with people of Taro to actually defeat, because now they have a common enemy to defeat because they don't want to die themselves. So they actually try to see, and we see a very mature moment of Katie. We didn't mention much about Katie throughout this thing, as she was also training, where she started. It reminds me sort of like a female version, like another version of Kate Bishop, maybe, sort of give me that sort of vibe with all that bow and arrow thing. So she sort of like, shoots the creature. Okay, so it was nice. So how they actually work together and all that towards a common enemy. And then Shang-Chi then is sort of like saved by this great protector, dragon, she, he, him, whatever. Okay, who's not Fin Fang Phobe. Just to make us happy, and sort of like come out of the water, and then he goes towards Wen Wu, who is still punching and releasing all these creatures. Then as he then resumes his fight with Wen Wu, and he sort of like gets an epiphany to start using that airbending techniques. Chi, okay, all right, and then we see him actually sort of pull the power of the Ten Rings away from Wen Wu, right?
Sean, I think you owe another public apology for this.
Yes.
Because
yes,
me,
please.
Eric, and Alvin were so sure that he was pulling the ring, but Sean insisted that Shang-Chi had another set of rings aside from the father. So, I didn't forget. So,
Yes,
Sean,
I was so.
Oh,
now that
my
you
God.
remind me, right, it was so like we were arguing and arguing because we kept saying he kept pulling the rings. He kept pulling the rings.
No, there was just a theory.
Yes, but still,
so apologize for
you
your
lost
theory.
Sorry. 1,000 apologies.
So,
Okay, moving on. So as he
dear
was
fans of
pulling-
Geek Street, whenever you all hear Sean giving theories, no need listen because it's not true.
Okay, theories are like that. We are meant to be wrong. Okay, all right. So as he was pulling the rings away, so it was split like 5-5, and as Shang-Chi received, he has pulled the ring to take control of the power of the ring. It actually grows a different color because when Wenwu uses it, it's sort of like a purplish color, which we know that the purple color in the MCU, pink. No, it's
Blue,
purple.
no?
Okay,
Blue, purple.
bluish purple.
Bluish purple.
We know that the particular purple
Yes, blue
color.
is blue. Sean is a bit colorblind if you all don't remember. Every
No,
time we say a
it's
color, he said the
purple.
other way around.
Okay.
It's blue, but it emits like a purple essence or glow.
Yeah.
But it's
Okay,
mostly
fine.
blue.
Yeah, blue, purple, bluish purple. Sometimes in that. Okay, along those color lines. Okay, because we know that normally this purplish sort of color actually is a dark magic, right? As we can see in WandaVision, it actually is like a reference to dark magic. And when Shang-Chi actually what they call gets hold of the rings, it actually glows a very bright. Say some color, I guess. Orange,
Orange or
gold.
yellow? You better say
Okay.
orange or yellow. Don't say
Okay.
green
Orange,
or-
yellow, gold. So, no, I don't. Okay, so it's that sort of a color where it is it's a bright color where it shows goodness, sort of thing, lah. Okay, so as we
And
can
that's the
see,
color Doctor Strange all use their energy.
as when he does the. Okay, then go.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So, how do you please do some effects?
Put the ring.
I think this is the chance
Yeah.
for you to put some memes as well.
Yeah.
Bring back the memes.
Yeah, that I'll probably do lah.
Yeah. Okay, so then he sort of uses the Ten Rings power against his father, and and then we see then the dweller in darkness or of darkness actually come out of the cave. We see this like creature-like thing, which we know. I like how Marvel actually like things that are not from this current dimension. Actually, they look very different, and you can really know that they are not from of this world. Okay.
But I would say that I guess you can relate it to a stolen design because I'm a Ben 10 fan, and I know that if you guys are a Ben 10 fan, if you go into that void, I forgot what the void is called, where they send every aliens as an imprisonment. There are these creatures that doesn't have eyes, with teeth, with wings, and with tentacles. So this is like a copy paste thing. When I saw it, I immediately thought of Ben 10 only. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So, but it was nice. I think Jess can design much better. With your Marvel, if you're looking for a designer of characters, please call Josephine Gabriel. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay, so then we see that this creature actually then eventually kills when Wu he dies. Very sad moment. I don't know if Shang-Chi felt sad at that point. Whether he was really sad because then he needed to, yeah, then he needed to actually fight off this dweller of darkness. It's a whole fight scene where they fight, and then Xialing actually also joins in the fight to save his brother. And then it was sort of like a family moment where it was reminded me where they were holding on to each other, and it reminded me of we have to stop talking about it, but in Endgame of Natasha Romanoff and Clint Barton, they're sort of like, oh, I want to go, you want to go, I want to go, you want to go. I was like, can somebody just go? Right? So
before you carry on, I think we need to take note about something where right before Wenwu dies, the father dies, he actually pushes and passes the 10 rings to Shang-Chi. And it's very important because one, the father did mention when he was younger, he was supposed to take over the rings. And two, Wenwu could have saved himself with the rings. We all know that. While he was in the grasp of the beast, he could have saved himself. But I think because of that guilt, knowing that he got cheated and his son was right all along, and he actually tried to kill his own son, I think he just gave up. He just didn't want to continue. So
he still had that humanity in him, lah.
No, actually, he was a good person, but it's just that the power of the rings actually.
I'm wondering if the power of the rings are going to psycho Shang-Chi, so we'll see that.
No, I think it all depends on what you want.
No, okay, right now, I wouldn't say it's actually the power of the rings, because Wenwu's goal was to conquer, and he used that ring to conquer. When he fell in love, he decided to let it go. But what influenced him, Wenwu, more to evilness was that voice. Because, like Michelle Yeoh said, he is not the first person. For what?
It's okay, just continue, Michelle Yeoh.
Jungnan.
Because she says he's not the first person that attempted to break that wall. A lot of people were attempted to break the wall because these creatures were calling out to them using the voices of their loved ones. But because they knew that he has the 10 rings and the 10 rings is capable of breaking the wall, that's why he was influenced to go into that position. If not, his only goal was to kill the man who murdered his wife and stop or continue conquering the world.
I mean, the whole time, I think he definitely loved his son. That is no doubt. So I think because of how the 10 rings also, somehow he has this power towards him, and then the influence of the voice from the Dweller of Darkness. It's not that he wanted to kill him, but it's just so much of rage that he wants his wife so badly. So I think that is why he just wanted to punch Shang-Chi so badly, but not kill him, I guess. But like how Alex said, now he has passed the powers to Shang-Chi. I think it's end for him. He just disappointed that the son was right this whole time and he couldn't get his wife, so he's just letting all go lah.
Anyhow, he has already lived 1,000 years already, so it's good enough.
Yeah.
Just die, man.
Just stay dead, man. Stay down.
But I think it fits with the whole family theme.
I saw Sean crying all there. I watched with him.
Yeah.
I wasn't crying.
You're a father now.
Okay. All right. So then we see that Shang-Chi and his sister try to get off each other, try to save each other and things like that. Eventually, they come up with a solution to kill off the Dweller in Darkness. Okay, so as they do that, then it's all they succeeded, whatever, and then we see them all calm in peace and things like that. So that's basically the whole structure of the movie.
Short. Yes. I'm so sorry. Please give credit to the fight scene. That fight scene was so epic. I don't want you to.
Okay. Yeah. The music.
The way they show Shang-Chi actually using the 10 rings in a way that the father never used before. It means he was capable of manipulating the 10 rings 10 times more because he got his mother's power and he has the 10 rings.
And he's got his father's
that
power.
Is one.
Father's genes lah, basically.
Yeah, the 10 rings are the father's genes lah. The rings
the
lah.
genes as well lah. The man has lived for 1,000 years. You think his genes is going to be normal?
Because of the ring.
Yeah, but his genes also lah. He was chosen.
1,000 years.
I know it's because the
Okay.
rings.
Moving
Yes,
on.
the rings give him power, but I also feel like the father. There must be some kind of backstory that the father was somehow chosen and were given the rings and was able to live 1,000 years and continue to living on.
Maybe.
Yeah, I
You
think
know,
it
that's
did
the
well.
problem. We got no backstory. So it's either he was given to him or he found it somewhere.
He
No,
Then
because the
stole
mother
it.
always say that you have a heart of the dragon. So that must mean not because of her alone. It must be because of him and because also of the father also. Because the father, like Sean said, the father was very nice. It's just that he's
No. He would have maybe his brains and mentality to things like that. But in terms of the will and the fight power, it definitely comes from the mother, which is naturally in his genes, and then the power of the ten rings. I think that is what it is.
Because I think the father, aside from the rings, he was nothing. That's why he stole it and he conquered. So once the rings are this one,
No, but I think he was a smart person. He knew how to do things, whatever. I think that mental strength maybe comes from his father, but in terms of the the Shang-Chi, okay, is the mother. Yeah.
Okay, so like I was saying, so while he was killing the creature, while grinding him like a drill and everything, but the music, I tell you, this is the thing that I love the most because this thing gave me goosebumps like crazy because the composition of the song was so good, and the whole time they just kept repeating that while he's killing
and
the
it's going
crap out
higher
of the
pitch
creature.
and more bassy.
Yes. Oh my god, I tell you guys. I think this is by far the best composition I've heard in the entire MCU because I can't remember. I mean, aside from the Avengers theme song.
you should say that.
Yeah.
Don't say
Aside
that.
from the Avengers theme song, this is a really good theme song for a hero, individual.
Really,
hero.
I like Black Panther's one.
How's
Very
Black
simple
Panther's one?
only. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Okay, yeah, that was nice as well.
Even Doctor Strange one is nice. All of it is nice.
Yeah, no, but I think that the difference here is that
Shang-Chi is just like,
Doctor Strange
because
one
it's
is
done
nice.
by because it is an Asian movie which has this sort of like different elements to the music which makes it nice lah. Yeah, so I think
It's
that was
still a
what they
big,
just
huge
meant.
thumbs up lah. Because if it wasn't for the music, you would lose a small part of the element.
Just a small part, huh? Because
huge part.
Huge.
Okay.
Because
Yes,
this song will stick. It's a trademark of his already. That's how the first song starts. It's a trademark.
I hope they do.
It's like you play a song, you
never
show
know.
a silhouette and you play the song, you already know, okay, it's Iron Man if you play the song. You know it's Doctor Strange if you play the song. So like the song plays a big part.
Like even Captain America also, you know, whenever any reference for Captain America, that song comes.
Yeah. Back to you, Sean.
I just really wanted to say that.
What?
Okay? Yeah. Just really like the music.
Back to you, Sean.
Okay. Alright, so we have all that, you know, he kills off the dragon. Okay, and then we end it. Okay. I know this is very long breakdown. Okay, so then I won't mention what happens after that because then they have a. Okay, so Marvel Studios actually gives Shang-Chi the MCU family treatment where they give 2 post-credit scenes. Okay, we will not go deep into the post-credit scenes and theorize and things like that. We have a whole separate content just for that, which will be brought to you none other than Harvin, who will lead us into those theories. Okay, so but they have 2 post-credit scenes. One which is where Katie and then Shang-Chi, they are back in the US. They are talking to their friends, telling them this whole story about how they saw the dragon.
Definitely not keeping it a secret,
fight off with you. You know, yeah. It's out there. We already gave you a spoiler warning earlier already. Okay, so
no, I mean they wasn't keeping a secret.
Oh, they wasn't keeping a secret.
They're so hyped, they just tell their friend the story.
Yeah.
I mean, young people, like, you know, we are young viewers, so just go around and tell everyone.
Yeah.
I think very realistic, right? They did it.
Yeah. Okay, so then they were telling, and then after that we see the worm comes out. Okay, and then he summons them to, if I'm not mistaken, the sanctum. I think it's sanctum.kamatach, okay, where they examine the 10 rings, and then they say that it's like emitting a beacon, like sending a signal somewhere. Okay, like I said, hold our horses, we will not theorize
Why
here.
are you
Okay?
telling us a scene
Alright?
if we're not going to theorize
Yeah,
here?
okay. Alright. So
Yeah, he
then
wants to finish up the
it's a
Okay,
mention.
okay.
Yeah, it's just a mention only.
You're
Okay.
not mentioning
And then also, okay, and then we see what do you call Bruce Banner, and then we also see Captain Marvel in that scene and all that. Okay, so that was one of the post-credit scene. Then the other one we see Zhu Xialing actually like sort of take over the terrorist organization. Okay, which probably may have Shang-Chi 2 whatever. Okay, so
with
that's
more
another
women
thing
in
for
that,
them.
like film
Maybe,
Fatal.
yeah.
No,
could
it
be.
was all women training like that, like another Black Widow.
We will
Did I spoil?
theorize.
Yeah,
in
I
Geek
had a
Review.
friend the other day who spoke to me, and she was saying that this movie speaks a lot about gender equality.
Yeah, it is.
I don't want to dwell into it. I'll just leave it as it is.
Yep,
Because I think we
yeah.
took too much time already by now.
Yeah, we took too much time.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is it for the Shang-Chi movie breakdown. We are all excited for this, what do you call movie, and how this movie will definitely, we'll be waiting to watch a movie for a very long time, right? Okay, so we finally got to do it, and it was really, really nice. So we have so much more content for you guys. We are coming up with the post-credit scene theories, and then we also have others, as we have many more movies coming like the Eternals, and then we have Spider-Man, we have Hawkeye, we have so many more. So please don't forget, guys, to subscribe to our channel so that you can stay up to date with the latest breakdown. Once you watch a movie, you want to know what's it all about, you want to know like more details, just come and watch our content. We will break it down for you, and we'll do a lot of theories if you guys are into theories. And don't forget to also like the video, please like the video, press that thumbs up button, okay? And also don't forget to leave a comment if you have any theories or any comments on myself or Jess or Eric or Arvind. If you guys want to comment anything, please do put your comments
Also leave
down.
a comment
right?
if you appreciate all our Malaysian stars who acted in this movie.
Yes, especially if you're Malaysian, please comment. Please. Okay, please. All right. Okay. So I think that is it from us. Okay. This is the Geek Street, and the street has spoken.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Ciao, guys.